Robert Ryan was born Robert Bushnell Ryan on November 11, 1909, in Chicago, Illinois, into a life far removed from the hardship he would later portray so convincingly on screen. The son of a successful builder, Ryan grew up with financial security and access to education, advantages that shaped his disciplined worldview. He attended Dartmouth College, where he excelled academically and athletically, particularly in boxing, a pursuit that sharpened both his physical presence and psychological insight. Graduating in 1932 with a degree in English during the depths of the Great Depression, Ryan did not immediately turn to acting. Instead, he worked a series of physically demanding jobs, including ranch hand and laborer, experiences that grounded him and expanded his understanding of human struggle. These early years instilled humility and resilience, qualities that would later define both his performances and his personal ethics. From discipline to craft, Ryan's path to acting. Ryan's transition into acting was not fueled by glamour or ambition, but by curiosity and intellectual engagement. After relocating to California, he trained at the Max Reinhardt Workshop in Hollywood, where classical technique, discipline, and respect for theater were emphasized above celebrity. This education profoundly shaped Ryan's approach to performance. He believed acting was a moral and psychological responsibility, not merely entertainment. His early stage work refined his command of language and emotional restraint, and by 1940, he began securing film roles, though success came gradually. Ryan's physical intensity and introspective demeanor set him apart in an industry often driven by charisma alone. Unlike many contemporaries, he resisted easy stardom, instead committing himself to roles that demanded emotional rigor. This deliberate path laid the foundation for a career defined by depth rather than popularity, and conviction rather than convenience. Breakthrough and the courage to play darkness. Robert Ryan's breakthrough arrived in 1947 with Crossfire, a film that confronted anti-Semitism at a time when Hollywood rarely addressed social prejudice directly. Ryan's portrayal of a deeply flawed and hateful character earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor and cemented his reputation for fearlessly inhabiting morally difficult roles. While many actors avoided such characters, Ryan embraced them, believing that exposing injustice on screen could provoke reflection and change. This performance set a pattern that would follow him throughout his career. He was frequently cast as villains, troubled men, or figures wrestling with inner conflict. Yet Ryan never glorified cruelty. Instead, he presented it with discomforting honesty, forcing audiences to confront the consequences of fear, ignorance, and moral failure. His willingness to shoulder these roles demonstrated uncommon artistic courage and a belief that cinema could be a vehicle for social reckoning. A principled man in a polarized industry. Despite his on-screen intensity, Robert Ryan was known personally as thoughtful, reserved, and deeply principled. Off-screen, he was an outspoken advocate for civil rights, racial equality, and nuclear disarmament, positions that carried professional risk during the height of McCarthyism. Ryan openly opposed the House Un-American Activities Committee and refused to distance himself from progressive causes, even as colleagues faced blacklisting. His political convictions were not performative. They informed his choice of roles and the way he lived his life. Ryan viewed citizenship as a moral obligation and believed silence in the face of injustice was itself a form of complicity. This seriousness sometimes set him apart in Hollywood, where caution and conformity often prevailed. Yet Ryan remained unwavering, choosing integrity over comfort and earning the quiet respect of those who valued conscience over career preservation. Defining performances across genres. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Ryan delivered a remarkable body of work across film noir, westerns, war films, and literary adaptations. In The Setup, 1949, his portrayal of an aging boxer confronting decline reflected both his athletic background and emotional sensitivity. Films such as Bad Day at Black Rock, Odds Against Tomorrow, and Billy Budd allowed Ryan to explore themes of justice, moral responsibility, and human fragility. In westerns like The Naked Spur and The Wild Bunch, he brought complexity to a genre often dominated by archetypes. Ryan's performances resisted simplicity. Even his antagonists were layered, wounded, and human. He approached every role with intellectual seriousness, insisting that characters exist within ethical contexts rather than stereotypes. This consistency elevated the films he appeared in and solidified his reputation as an actor of uncommon gravitas. Theater, marriage, and a shared moral life beyond film, Robert Ryan remained deeply committed to the theater, which he considered the purest form of acting. His Broadway performances, including Long Day's Journey into Night, reaffirmed his belief in language, presence, and emotional truth. In 1939, Ryan married Jessica Cadwallader, a woman whose intellect and progressive values mirrored his own. Their marriage was rooted in mutual respect and shared purpose, lasting more than 3 decades. Together, they raised 3 children in an environment that emphasized education, empathy, and critical thought. The Ryans lived for many years in New York City's Dakota Building, immersing themselves in cultural life while maintaining privacy and principle. Their home was less a social hub than a place of reflection, conversation, and moral engagement. Jessica was not merely a partner, but a collaborator in Ryan's broader commitment to social responsibility. Education, legacy, and the Oakwood vision. Robert and Jessica Ryan believed deeply in education as a force for social change. In 1951, they helped establish the Oakwood School in Los Angeles, founded on progressive ideals that emphasized creativity, emotional development, and individuality. The school emerged from a collective effort by parents who rejected rigid, conformity-driven models of learning. For the Ryans, education was not about obedience, but about nurturing thoughtful, compassionate citizens. Oakwood reflected their broader philosophy that society improves when people are encouraged to think critically and act ethically. This commitment extended beyond their own children and into the community at large. The school became a lasting testament to their belief that cultural and political change begins with how young minds are shaped. It remains one of the quieter yet most enduring aspects of Robert Ryan's legacy. Contrasting temperaments in Hollywood. During Hollywood's golden age, Robert Ryan was often compared to contemporaries like Robert Mitchum, another actor known for portraying hardened, morally ambiguous men. While their screen personas appeared similar, their personal philosophies diverged sharply. Ryan approached acting with intellectual seriousness and moral intent, while Mitchum cultivated a more detached, irreverent public image. These differences created professional tension when they worked together, particularly during the production of The Racket, 1951. Ryan valued preparation and thematic depth, while Mitchum favored instinct and minimal rehearsal. Though neither allowed personal differences to disrupt their work, their contrasting attitudes reflected broader cultural divides within Hollywood itself. Rather than a personal feud, their friction symbolized opposing views of responsibility, artistry, and purpose. Each man embodied a distinct vision of masculinity and professionalism, coexisting uneasily within the same cinematic era. Final performances and quiet resolve. In his final years, Robert Ryan continued to work despite declining health, driven by devotion to his craft rather than obligation. His last film, The Iceman Cometh, 1973, featured a haunting performance as a disillusioned idealist, a role that echoed Ryan's lifelong engagement with moral struggle and hope. Unknown to many on set, he was battling terminal lung cancer, yet he never allowed illness to compromise his professionalism. Ryan approached his final roles with the same discipline and humility that defined his career. There was no farewell tour, no public reckoning, only quiet perseverance. He believed that the work itself was enough. This restraint reflected his character, principled, inward-looking, and uninterested in spectacle. Even in decline, Ryan remained committed to truth in performance, leaving behind work that spoke more powerfully than words ever could. A life measured by integrity. Robert Ryan passed away on July 11, 1973, at the age of 63, survived by his children and a body of work that continues to resonate. Though he often portrayed cruelty and moral failure on screen, those who knew him described a compassionate, reflective man guided by conscience. His career was not defined by stardom, but by consistency, courage, and ethical seriousness. Ryan once reflected simply that he had been lucky in his career and family, a statement that revealed gratitude rather than pride. He measured success not by fame, but by alignment between belief and action. In an industry often driven by image, Robert Ryan stood apart as an actor who treated art as responsibility and life as moral practice. His legacy endures not only in film history, but in the example of integrity lived without compromise.